Amplify, the Ladies Edition, Part 2. Once again, we get to hear women speak. And the women that we're going to see this week are feeling some of the very things that I have to say I'm feeling in the wake of the murder of yet another Black man. Some people wondered, why did we need to amplify voices, and specifically Black voices? It's because historically Black voices have been underheard, and they haven't been acted upon. A people are crying out for justice. A people are crying out to be considered human and valued because of their shared humanity. That's what these women are doing in today's episode. They're sharing their hearts, sharing their artistry, and sharing their pain. We hope you enjoy Amplify, the Ladies Edition, Part 2.
I saved every letter you wrote to me. From the moment I read them, I knew you were mine. You said you were mine. I thought you were mine. Do you know what Angelica said when we saw your first letter arrive? She said, be careful with that one, love. He will do what it takes to survive. I hope that you
So I sat here trying to think about how I wanted to articulate what I wanted to say. And I looked over and I saw this photo. I keep a photograph of myself as a child so that I remember to be kind to myself. Remember that I'm really a child in an adult body, and to be kinder to myself. And as I looked at this, what I recognized is that as a child, we move from our heart. We move from a space of curiosity. So when we encounter people, it is not about what they are wearing and making these judgments based on what we see. Children interact with people with the curiosity. They are there with an engagement. They don't have judgments already attached to appearances. And what it reminded me of, and I wanted to share, is this piece from The Little Prince. And it says, "And he went back to meet the fox. 'Goodbye,' he said. 'Goodbye,' said the fox. 'And now here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye.' What is essential is invisible to the eye," the little prince repeated, so that he would be sure to remember. And I think this line bears repeating. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. If we move into this space or this exploration of what it is to approach life through childlike eyes, what we recognize, the difference between children and adults, is that when children see a person or see a presentation, rather than judgment, they approach with curiosity. What would it mean to see someone that you normally judge and decide in that moment to approach them with curiosity rather than judgment? I stood at a store in line and realized in this climate of polarization and division that it started to have its effect on me. And as I stood in line, there was a man in front of me, and I judged how he looked. And I thought it might not be a good idea for me to talk to him, even though everything within me wanted to start up a conversation. The child in me wanted to start up a conversation. But I stood there and I felt into all of it. And then he turned around and spoke to me. And it was a delightful exchange and conversation. And what it reminded me of is that if I put down the judgment and I move forward with curiosity, there is a completely different experience to be had. Because again, what is important is seen with the heart. How children move forward is through the heart, through curiosity and not judgment. So my question is, what would life look like if you approached it through the lens of curiosity rather than the lens of judgment? And this isn't only in relation to dealing with others in society, dealing with this group of people that you don't know. It is also with yourself. Because the lessons that are on a macro level are also on a micro level. The lessons that are external are also internal. What would it look like if instead of approaching yourself with judgment, you approached yourself with curiosity? And therefore, what would it look like if you approached others with curiosity rather than judgment? You see people of a different race acting or behaving a way that you normally have a judgment about. What would it be for you, and how would it feel? And how would your experience change, and how would your engagement change if you viewed it through the lens of curiosity?
Like the marigolds, delicate, vulnerable, and something sweet. The seeds are sowing, the sun is glowing. Give them light, give them glory. Cultivate and tend the garden. Water the soil to safely fall. In love and grace, a springtime chorus of precious, sacred things to keep. Nurtured well, made to bloom, made whole, like honey dripping if one hung the moon. Like the marigolds which do not grow, delicate, vulnerable, and something sweet. A black girl is lost to the world, trapped between unable to be anything but broken. The world is watching, the hate is flowing. Give them violence, give them grief. Foster desirability for whiteness, cultivate contempt for blackness. A winter burden of invisibility, of precious sacred things to fracture. Grounded in the cracks of the pavement, bloomed from cruelty, watered in insecurity. All there was to love, all there was to hate. Sis, who taught you to be so silent? Who taught you the language of love is hate? A little black girl must take refuge in a world of her own creation, to learn how to be her own best thing beyond the white gaze of prejudice and discrimination. Left to fix herself, like the marigolds, how to mend and burn and grow and break to make herself something new, unburdening almost, to find a way back to wholeness, surviving. Darling, hold your magic. Blackness is not a sin, being this shade of honey, having this name, still learning to speak pain into language without internalizing the damage of shame. Let love take root. Like the marigolds each season, just bloom. A handful of melanin and honey, unapologetically black and unashamedly woman, touched by ink, caramel kissed by the sun, existing on the margins of two separate racial identities. Laden with an inner struggle to just be. Made of love, a black and white tapestry. A supposed biracial anomaly. Living in the space between, on the border of racial ambiguity, to others whom my existence is not understood fluently and anatomized through a lens of cruelty. Being black, being white, a living being reckoned unworthy as an embodiment of systematic inadequacy, expressed through the impudent interrogation, brought forth by one seemingly innocuous question: what are you? A verbal manifestation of dehumanization and pervasion into one's identification, to which I respond: a human being. A bodily amalgamation, two-tone, multi-race, cultureless, bicultural, a mingling of convoluted narrative with history and heritage, a paradox of human creation. Made from love, a honeyed harmony of mahogany and cream. My activism is usually through my art, through performance or writing, and I usually tend to stay in the background, whether that's on stage or crafting statements, letters, whatnot. But I think at this moment, we're at such a pivotal, particular moment that, like, just sitting idly by just wasn't enough. And so my cousins and I decided to start attending the BLM protest the end of May, beginning of June. And at first we were just attending to be in the streets. You know, every individual who shows up is necessary, every action matters. And so we wanted to do something, we wanted to be a part of it. And so we started showing up and attending and protesting for the next month. But as days pass, our involvement kind of progressed and transitioned into aiding and organizing, leading marches, solitary actions to celebrate Black life and Black joy and Black love and just honoring Black lives. But like I said, I tend to stay in the background, but I think in this current moment, in the midst of a pandemic in which there has been avoided leadership on all levels, there's unprecedented levels of unemployment, Black and brown individuals are still being murdered by those who carry a badge, children are dying in cages, masks have become a political issue that we've already lost so much and could lose so much more if we don't actively commit to this fight every day. So that's why I'm here. We have to keep going, and for as long as there's breath in my body and for as long as injustice lingers, the work must continue.
Hi, I'm Sheryl McCallum, and I first want to say thank you to Amplify for this wonderful platform. I miss theater. I do. I miss it. I miss live theater, and I know it's going to come back. But I want it to come back better. And having opportunities like this where you intentionally listen to me and voices like mine are going to go a long way in helping that happen. What I want to talk about is my experience on that very first day we all get together. You get cast in a show, you come into the theater, you meet the director, you meet your other cast members, you meet the team, sometimes you meet the administrative staff, and there's an excitement in the air. So I look around the room at this awesome team that has been put together, and I don't see anyone that looks like me. I see few people of color, but specifically, I don't see any Black women. And at first I dismissed it. I'm like, well, it's Denver, so, all right. It happened again at another theater. Happened again. We all get together and meet the team, and I saw it too, and I just got so happy. I'm like, okay, we're coming along. Go to another theater, back to the same. And I remember the last time it happened, and I moved from excitement to annoyance to anger. I was really angry because I looked around this room of so many brilliant people, but that's beside the point. And I said, you can't find one, not one. Something is wrong with that to me. Something is very wrong. I don't know what it is. I don't have all the answers, but I know something is wrong because I can count on one hand the Black women I have met on a team that the producers or the directors or your artistic director looks at every day. And to me, the people that you have around you are the people's opinions, are the opinion of people who you value and who you go to for your content, for your opinions. And if you don't have someone on your team that looks like me, that tells me that my opinion may not matter to you. Or do you see me? Do you value my vision? What is your vision? Am I included in your vision? There are all these questions. So I challenge you. I challenge Arvada Center. I challenge theaters in general. And it just doesn't happen here in Denver, but this is where I am right now. So I challenge you all to look at your teams. from top to bottom. Look at your makeup, look at your hair, look at your technical staff, look at your marketing, look at your stage management, look at your board of directors. Who are you looking at every day? And does anyone look like me? Again, let me be specific. Where are your Black women on your team? And not only, I do hope you bring Black women in, but it goes beyond that. It goes beyond to listening to them, listening to their voices, valuing their opinions. So what would bring me joy is when I go into the theater the next time I get cast in a show, and to look around that beautiful team that you have assembled and see someone, let me be clear, see a Black woman looking back at me. That would bring me so much joy. We're creative people. I know we can do it. Again, I don't have all the answers, but I would certainly love to be a part of this conversation. We're creatives. We can do it. What do directors say? Go deeper. So I'm challenging you to go deeper. Look at your team. Where do I fit in? I know I fit in. Find me. Thank you. And again, thank Amplify for this amazing opportunity. Thank you. My daughter is upstairs weeping. She's been up there in her room for 3 days, 6 hours, and 41 minutes weeping. For 3 days, 5 hours, and 42 minutes, I've indulged her. I listened. I commiserated and clucked sympathetically while she examined and re-examined every detail of her first love's betrayal. I took her meals upstairs on a tray. I made tea to soothe her nerves and mine, and resisted every opportunity to say, Phoebe, my darling, I told you he wasn't for you in the first place. Well, the last thing you need in the throes of first heartbreak is to hear the truth. Spoken for the second time. By your mother, who first uttered the words when you brought the young betraying fool home and confessed, oh, Mama, I think he's the one. He was never the one. He was way too full of that blazing sexual energy of his emerging manhood to be anybody's one for very long. After a summer of long-distance spats and tearful reconciliations, he confessed via email that he had fallen in love with someone else and closed with the wish that they can always be friends. That was 3 days ago. I'm sympathetic. I love my child, but she needs to get it together. Segue from self-pity to self-examination by asking the question, what is the lesson here for me? When she was younger, we would consider the lesson questions so she would know how it gets to the heart of the matter. As she got older, I would remind her to ask it and then leave her to contemplate the answer. And that's what I intend to do tonight. She could evaluate her choices while I finish returning 3 days worth of phone calls.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I am a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise. I rise. I rise.